Hello, welcome back to another live, another week where I sit here and promise you that I am planning to put an intro up for those of you who join live, and there's always this slight delay to kind of kill time. I know I watch Sarah Cannon's live every single week, but not live. I always watch the replay, and she has this little like coming soon intro thing. That's what I need to make. I just need to make it. Anyways, hello, I'm Laken, and I go live every Wednesday at 1 p.m. Eastern to chat all about goals and hang out and share something with you about my life and my goals, and then also answer any questions you have about goals and planning. I see a couple of people starting to pop in. So let's kick it off with our first question, which is, what is one small win that you have to share from the last week? If you're here live, please say hello in the chat. And if you are chatting, if you are part of the replay, please leave in the comments what your small win is. It is my favorite thing to go read all of your wins. I love hearing about it. Also, we're sticking with this new angle. I love it. Like the angle, I know it's still yellow. It's literally on my list today. We're going to go to Target. It's beautiful outside. We're going to go for a walk. We're going to go to Target and get some different lights that hopefully will make this yellow vibe we're rocking not so yellow anymore. But that will be so next week, hopefully it will be not so yellow. While I wait for some of the comments to pop up, my win is I'm just feeling good about my small progress. My progress this year in general is slower than any other year, which duh, of course it's that way. But I'm feeling really good about it. And it's very positive, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. So I'm gonna wait for some of these comments to pop in with your wins while I take a sip. I just have some iced coffee. I shared on my Instagram stories yesterday how I make my iced coffee, because I know one of you, the person who asked was how I make the cold brew concentrate from Trader Joe's, saying that it's too strong. It is strong. It's super strong, but I love it. All right, so good. All right. Hello, Monique. Good afternoon. Having coffee. I started listening to A Court of Mist and Fury and loving it. Started your Oracle Reader certification. Wow, I cannot read today. River J, let me try your comment again. Started your Oracle Reader certification. That is awesome. Inquired about future career opportunities and felt good about it. That is awesome, Allison. I hope you're super proud of yourself. Finished a book last week. Had to read a lot, but I got it done. That's you checked it off. Had your first friend date of the month. It was a phone call, but still counting it. Totally counts, especially if your friends don't live in the same area you do. Sometimes it needs to be virtual. I keep trying to schedule one with a friend of mine who lives in New York, but she works late and I go to bed early. So finding time for us to have a friend date is proving difficult. And you think it would be easier because of the time change, but we still can't seem to get it to match up. Awesome. I love hearing about all your wins. Keep them coming if you are just joining us. Oh, here's more. I know they're pricey, but I love my Philips Hue lights. I can make it bright blue during the day to wake up, dim and warm at night to wind down, or any color in between. I have never heard of these. Maybe I need to look into it because, yeah, I definitely feel like I need bluer lights, obviously, to offset this yellow tone that is happening. I don't know if it's my computer camera or whatever, but all of that, I need more blue lights. Well, do I want them to be that blue all the time? I don't know. So maybe I need to look into these for my office. Thanks for the suggestion. You can control it all from your phone. That's super cool. I took my lights up to Alexa. So I do have, they're not the light bulbs. I have the little outlet things that you can control the the timers, and I have a timer set on the light in our bedroom on the lamp that turns on at a certain time. So it's always on and cozy when I want to go in there, but then it turns off at a certain time, telling me it's time to go to bed. I can't change the color, but I like the timing of it. Sometimes phone calls count more. I'm such a millennial. Yeah. And I'm the same way, Allison. I will prioritize in person any day of the week. Although, does it count as phone calls or text messages? I am very much a voice memo person when it comes to communicating with my friends. We ate at home most nights last week. That's huge for a lot of people, Brittany. That's awesome. I know there are some people that will talk about how they don't eat out hardly at all. I'm like, that is not me. We're not those people. But we've also lived in a big city. So I've been very accustomed to takeout and more likely delivery. All right, y'all. I'm excited to move into the book update this week. So let's start with the boring stuff. I'm still reading How to Manage Your Home Without Losing Your Mind. I'm at almost halfway there. I still really like this book. I'm in a section right now so if I've talked about this before, the author of this book, not Dana, I think it's Dana. I danced with a girl named Dana. She wrote How to Declutter, Decluttering at the Speed of Life, which I love. But this book that I'm reading now was actually her first book. So I went out of order, and I'm on the section right now about decluttering. And it feels very repetitive to Decluttering at the Speed of Life. So I feel like I kind of either need to decide to skip through those chapters or just kind of like power through. But I feel like it's causing me to drag a little bit. Okay. Next up in reading land, I stopped reading. If you watched 2 weeks ago, I talked about how I moved on to Essentialism as my like nonfiction audiobook. I think I'm at the point now where I don't retain nonfiction audiobooks while I'm doing other things. Even if I'm doing the most mundane task in our house, I'm not getting the most value. And so I think for now, I need to stick with, if I'm going to read a nonfiction like this, a personal development or business book, it needs to be like the hard copy. I need to actually be reading the book. So that's fine. I learned that. So I returned this one to the library, and it will stay on my list. It does mean that getting through, I had 10 total books, 5 personal and 5 business nonfiction that I wanted to get to this year. I don't know that I'm going to get to all 10. If I'm not listening to any of them on audio. It is what it is. So the audiobook I am listening to is the autobiography of Britney Spears. It's called The Woman in Me, and I'm about 40% of the way through it. It's a very quick read. I think it's like 6 hours of audio. I know we've talked about this before, but the autobiographies read by the author are hands down, in my opinion, the best way to listen to them. And I absolutely love them. This one is not read by her. She read like a prologue section, but it was very short. And now it's another author. Now the author's voice does sound a little bit like hers, but as someone who is a huge Britney fan, it's not exactly like hers. So I don't love that, but I was very, 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 very interested in the book and the content of the book. It's not the greatest book I've ever listened to either. It just in general, regardless of who's reading it, it's not the best, but I'm very interested in the content. So I don't know. I feel like, I'm not even halfway, but if you don't recommend this book at all, but if you are anywhere near my age and have ever been a big Britney fan, you probably would enjoy listening to it and learning a little bit. So, I just went to the comments. The video quality is bad. Oh my goodness. I left and came back and it's still bad. Usually I say to just like refresh and hopefully it helps. I haven't gotten any sort of notification that it's not good on my end. Hopefully it's just the video and I'm just a little bit fuzzy and you can still get the same value out of it. I'm so sorry. I don't understand truthfully why some weeks we have issues and some weeks we have zero issues with the quality. Like the Wi-Fi is the same Wi-Fi. It's the same time of day, same day of the week. Like I don't understand how it works. So hopefully it gets better. I'm going to keep powering through unless I get a notification. I felt the same. The Britney book was super interesting, but the actual writing was not great. Okay. I'm glad it's not just me. Sometimes I'm like, is that sentence? Did you really just say that sentence? But anyway. All right. Here's the exciting news about my book update. I did it, y'all. I finished A Court of Thorns and Roses. Not only did I power through, I got through it. And I was hoping this would be the case. I was hoping that while I was out of town, I would read it and enjoy it and relax a little bit. And I did, and it was great. I still really like the combo of the hard copy and the audio. I tried doing the audio on its own a little bit, and it didn't work well for me because I just, again, like I said with the nonfiction, I just get distracted and I don't actually retain it. And I found myself rewinding a lot, and that's fine. But reading and listening to the audio at the same time is great for me. And I finished it, and I did really like it. I don't know that I loved the ending as much as other people were like, you just have to get to the end. And I know some people say that, and some people say you just have to get to the next book. But I did it, and I have moved into, Jennifer, I almost wanted to say this when you commented your win. I have moved into A Court of Mist and Fury. Same thing. I've got the hard copy on my Kindle and the audio in my ears. I am like, I didn't even put the percentage on here. I'm like 6% into it. I'm very, very, very barely touching the surface of this book. I just started it yesterday, but I'm doing it. I'm doing it, y'all. I'm reading through them. So far, so good. Very much enjoying it. Okay. The sound is okay. It's just a blurry. I'm sorry. The video is fuzzy. I love immersion reading. Okay, Amber, I didn't realize that's what it was called when you like listen to the audio and read the actual book. Although I also struggle to say this coming on tomorrow's podcast episode. ACOTAR is good, but the next one is better. Y'all, though, those of you who've listened to it, and I'm not going to spoil anything by saying this, there's a handful of words of like things that are specific to this world that in the first book they pronounce one way, and in this book they're pronouncing it a different way. What is that about? Like, I'm only a couple chapters into it, and there's already a handful of things that they have pronounced differently, and I'm like, I don't know. That confuses me a little bit, but it's not that serious. It's not like their names. It's just frustrating to me. So, did anybody else notice that listen to the audios? Anybody else annoyed by this, or is it just me? Okay, let's keep chugging and talk about my monthly goal check-in. So I'm checking in, even though today is the 1st of May. Hold on, I'm going to read the comments before we do this. Okay, no. Today's the first day of May, but the May goals video has not gone up yet. So I am not going to share my May goals because it doesn't really make any sense until the May goals video is up. So instead, I'm going to show you the wrap up of the April goals, which obviously in that video, I will deep dive into all of this, but this is what the month ended up looking like for me. I actually realized I never checked off my daily Instagram limits. The rest of those last week while we were in Texas, I think I blew it up. I think I overdid it every day last week, which is fine. April wasn't great. That's all. It wasn't great. And that's okay. It's, I feel like I did a lot that wasn't on this paper, which happens a lot. And I talk about that in videos past. Like, there are times that you will do things in your life that aren't captured on your goals, and that's okay. And then I decided to go ahead and start May this week. So that's why this is the end of April. And I have started May, even checking off the last 2 days, even though it was technically April. So that is my monthly goals. I'm trying to catch up on some of the comments. Mist and Fury and Silver Flames are my favorite because the third one is great for other reasons. Is it the third one or the fourth one that's like really short? One of them is super duper short. I'm reading via audiobook a 1,100 page book. Allison, that is a very long book. Yeah, it's the same narrators, Amber, and so it's the same voice. It's just like there's some creatures. Also, I'm so sorry if you're distracted by the gentleman behind me doing something back there. There's some creatures that they pronounce differently. Like they accent different letters. They say a short A instead of a long A. And I'm like, what? The fourth one is technically a novella. Okay, it's only 150 pages. I feel like compared to the rest of them. So then maybe all 5 of them average out to like a regular length of book. Maybe. Probably not. Okay. Before we jump into the topic of the week, I also want to quickly share the May calendar with you, just so you have it on your agenda and on your planner. If you can subscribe to the Google Cal. The Google Cal is really meant for the community and has the community calls, but it also has the lives if you're able to join the lives live. So obviously the lives are on Wednesdays every day, except the last week of the month, I'm going to be out of town. So there will be a YouTube video in its place. And then YouTube videos on Mondays as usual. And then here are the schedule for the coaching call. We actually have 2 hot seat coaching calls this month. We have a live one, and then we also have a pre-recorded. So for those who aren't able to join live, you can sign up for a slot, and you and I will just have a Zoom call, just the 2 of us, and we will record it to be shared with the community as part of that pre-recorded call. So that is the May calendar. Okay. I feel like trying to click all these buttons is like a whole thing. Oh, I thought the novella was terrible, but I know not everyone feels that way. I will probably exclude it if I do a reread. So is it not necessary to the plot then, Brianne? Like, you don't have to read it. I mean, I probably will just since it's my first time reading, but it's good to know that it's maybe not totally necessary. All right, let's talk about the topic of the week. Where is my thing? So here's the irony. And I know I've mentioned this before. I work with a content coach, marketing strategist, all of those words. And we have a call once a quarter where we plan out all of my videos and all of the live topics a quarter in advance. So this topic has been chosen since like the second week of March when we had our Q2 call. And then a couple of weeks ago, and maybe even, no, obviously last week I didn't have a live. I don't think it was the last one. I think it was 2 lives ago. Somebody asked me kind of this question is how has your planning changed, or how is your, goal setting or your life changed since having a baby? And my response to that question was like, I don't know if I feel qualified to answer this because it's only been however long. And I feel like I'm constantly learning and constantly changing. And so many of you showed up in the comments and said, that will always be the case. You will always be constantly learning and changing as your baby grows, even as they roll into later years, even into adulthood, right? As you potentially add more children, like all of those things, you're still going to be learning and growing. Don't let that minimize what you have learned in the last 8 months. And then as I was prepping for May and I saw this topic, I was like, oh my gosh, I'd already planned to talk about it. So I'm very excited to share today. I have 5 things to talk about, 5 things that really jump out at me as things that have changed since I had a baby. Now, as of today, she is 8 months old. Look at this cute picture from a week ago. Oh my God, I can't. Although it's so funny because my plan for today. So if you are a member of the community, you know this. Most days, I will take a picture of my daily planner for the day and post it in the community Facebook group. Like I do that pretty much every day. And if nobody probably read in depth my to-do list for today, I wrote 7-month photos on today's plan. And then I was like going into her room to pick out the little, the little circle thing that says 8 months. And I knew she was 8 months old. Picked 8 months old and did the whole thing, took the pictures, and then went back to my planner to check it off and saw that it said 7 months. And I was like, oops, I just took a month away. I think I'm in denial that she is already 8 months old. I just don't understand. Okay. So she is 8 months old. And so the reminder, like I said, is that I'm still learning. I am still learning. But what I'm going to share today are 5 things that I put here. Some of these I knew. Let's be real. All of these I knew. All 5 of these I knew were true. I knew they were true. But having a baby has absolutely solidified them and reminded me how true they are and have therefore impacted how I plan my life, my goals, my time, etc. Number 1, routines can and will change. And again, I feel like I said this before I had a baby, right? Your routines can and will develop over time. They will change with your life. They change faster with a baby. And so it's okay to have a routine that you're like, this is my routine for the next 3 weeks. This is what I can commit to. And then knowing that in 3 weeks, it's probably going to change again, or maybe even less than 3 weeks, depending on how old your baby is and how quickly they're developing and changing, or between your life and the seasons, right? Like now the weather is so beautiful. I am dying to be done with work at a certain hour so I can go enjoy the outside with my little girl, and her nap schedule is different, right? So based on her nap schedule and the weather, now our routine looks totally different. And again, I knew this before. I knew this, but it um really leaning into it being okay and being okay with your routine changing. And the thing I've been trying to also lean into is if it's working, you don't need to change it. But if it's not working, what is not working and how can we adjust that? And whether it's, getting up a little bit earlier or uh the thing I was about to say is a good example for the next one, so I don't want to say it. But just being open to adjustments. And when I say routines here, I don't even necessarily mean the classic like AM routine and PM routine. And that's definitely part of it. And I shared this on Instagram earlier this week. I posted a morning routine video a week ago, literally a week ago today, that I filmed about a month ago. It's already changed. Y'all, my morning routine's already changed, which is one of the reasons why I hesitate filming videos like that, because it's like, yeah, this was my morning routine at this point in time, and it's already different based on the other things that have changed around us. My goals, her schedule, it's the seasons, like, etc. So it is just so, I don't know if ironic is the right word, but routine has this connotation that it has to be the same every single day and it has to be consistent. And I'm here to remind you that it does not. And your routine can and likely will change regardless of whether or not you have a child. Here's the one that I know I said this on a live or a call or somewhere before that really, really, really did not sink in until I had a baby. And that is that small amounts add up. So I've always told you to break down your goals into the smallest amount of time that you can fit into your schedule. And so in the past, for me, my personal goals, I wouldn't break down much more than like an hour chunk, because I could find hour chunks of time. My work goals, I broke them down into 30-minute chunks because I could find 30-minute chunks of time. Now I break things down like 15 minutes ideal, but right before this live, I even took 5 minutes. Like I came in here to get all set up and I got everything prepped. I took the thumbnail picture. I did all the things and I still had, it was 11:51. And I was like, you still have 9 minutes before this starts. In prior versions of me, and don't get me wrong, if this is how you want to spend those 9 minutes, spend those 9 minutes. Ironically, that we're talking about rest in the community this month. I would have spent those 9 minutes scrolling my phone. If I was really on top of things, I would have had my Kindle here and spent that 9 minutes reading. But instead, I did 8-ish minutes of work. I picked something off my list for later this afternoon and said, can I get 8 minutes ahead on one of these things? And that's what I did. Did I finish it? No, because I assumed that task was going to take me 30 minutes, not 8. But I got through, which is ironic because it's 4 things. And I got through one of the 4 that I had scheduled 30 minutes for. It's a pretty good estimate. So, but the reminder here is that those small amounts add up. And that really, I think the change is that I need to take advantage of them, because that 8 minutes while I was already in my office in work mode, somebody has my daughter, etc., is better spent on work than 8 minutes at the end of the evening. When she goes to bed, I don't want to be spending those 8 minutes doing work. I don't want to be spending 8 minutes I would rather relax at that point, right? So trying to take those little small pockets of time. She's occupied with a toy. Can I do 5 minutes of a tidy of a room? She slept a little longer than I expect. Can I get one thing done off my list so that I'm not worried about that once she wakes up, right? Focusing on those small little pockets of time. And again, if you don't have kids, you don't necessarily have to worry about this, but it can make a difference if you take advantage of those little small pockets of time instead of only ever looking for the giant chunks of time. I think that's really the learning thing for me, is that in the past, I always looked for those giant chunks of time, and more often than not, I could find them. And so it was fine to wait until I had these big giant pockets. Those are rare nowadays. So I have to take advantage of the small amounts, and it really does add up over time. Number 3 is know what your non-negotiables are. Yes, I've always had to prioritize, right? Prioritizing has always had to be a thing. I can't do everything. I can't do everything and anything that I want. I have to prioritize. But now I really have to prioritize. And so I have to know when it comes to everything, what are the non-negotiables with my AM routine? What are the things that I have to do in the morning to either because I have to, like feed the cat, or I have to do because I need to feel that way? Knowing what my non-negotiables are. When it comes to work, what are the non-negotiables for the day? What are the things that I have to get to today? And what are the things that would be nice to get to today, this week, this month, all of the things. And being more realistic about them maybe, but then also like not doing them, I guess too, is part of it. Like it's so funny because there are some things I'm trying to think if I want to share this example. There's some things that in the past I've been very, not bad is the right word, but just inconsistent with doing. And now I'm almost more consistent, even though I have less time, because to me, it's a non-negotiable to make me feel better. Here's an example I'm comfortable sharing. Tidying up certain rooms of the house. Prior versions of me would deprioritize tidying and picking up at the end of the day. I pick up different rooms at different times of day. I talked about this in a vlog months ago, and it's still very true. I don't do a full tidy of our whole apartment. That's speaking of small chunks, like that's a big chunk of time. So instead, I tidy up each room at different points in the day as part of different routines. But to me, those are non-negotiables now because there's so much going on and also so much more stuff. Now that there's a baby, that tidying up makes such a difference on my mental capacity that I prioritize it, and it's a non-negotiable. Whereas in the past, if the living room wasn't tidy, I tidy the living room in the morning here now, but like if the living room wasn't tidy, sometimes I would just be like, man, forget it. Like, I don't care. I can just shut my office door and it's fine. But like 9 times out of 10, I'm going to spend time in the living room at some point today with my daughter. And I want that living room to be tidy and I want it to feel nice. Tidying the bedroom, tidying the bathroom, tidying the kitchen. Like I make that a priority when I didn't before. So I feel like that, but it makes a difference. And so I wonder if I had prioritized that more in the past, if that would have made a difference. But that's something that I feel like I have changed, is know the non-negotiables and following through on them. Okay, number 4. Y'all, it is okay to ask for and accept help. The people in your life who love you, they want to help. They want to be there for you. And they want to they want to do what they can. So I have always struggled to be somebody who was bad at asking for help or even saying, yes, thank you for helping me with that when they offered. And having a baby has made it so like, no, you don't have a choice. You need to ask for help, especially in those first couple of weeks. Like you physically can't do things. And so I think I just learned it then and have continued to roll through it. And some of this is my spouse, my partner, my husband, he asking and accepting his help. I don't need to do everything. Is he going to do it exactly the way I did it? No, but I can't and don't need to do everything. My family, my mom, my sister, asking and accepting their help. And then also in business, I talked about this in my last favorites video. I hired a VA to go into maternity leave. It was really more to do I hired her to do some small things that I knew needed to continue on maternity leave, but I didn't want to have to do them. And since then, I have added so many other things on her list that I don't have to do. Like, I don't have to be doing those things. She can do them. And yes, I understand that type of help costs money, but is my time better spent doing those things in my business or with my daughter and raising her and caring for her? And so It is okay to have other people do things. You don't need to do it all. And whether that is free help or paid help, whether you're struggling to just let it go, whether you're struggling to ask, it is, if it's people who care about you, yes, they could still say no, but my guess, like the example I always give is think if it was reversed. If somebody you know just had a big life change and they asked for your help with something, like, wouldn't you want to say yes? Wouldn't you want to help them? Like, it's the same when you're on the receiving end. All right. And the last one is kind of more abstract, and that is to have a really good why. And I, again, have always known this, right? We need a good why. And when Lila came into this world, I basically got the world's greatest why. She inspires me to do so many things, to be the best me all the time. And I don't mean this to get like super sappy, but my point is that it is so much easier. It's not always easy. It's easier to do the hard things, to get out of bed, to get on the bike, to drink the water, to cook the vegetables, to save the money, to all the things, when I know that it is for her, essentially. And so just don't overlook the why as this like arbitrary, like, no, I don't need a why just because I want to. That's a good enough why. And it might be for you for some goals, but for some goals, it might not be enough. And that's when I encourage you to do the but why exercise. Dig deeper and ask yourself, but why is that goal important to me? And know that, like, know what the why is before you decide to jump in. Because it really has made things so much. Again, I don't like to use the word easier because it doesn't mean that it's easy all the time, but it's easier than it was before because it's worth it to me. So that's to find your why for your goals, as cheesy as that sounds. Okay, let me go back to the comments. That is all that I have planned in terms of this topic. Yes, on baby number 3, and each one is different. Absolutely. I've seen those funny memes, Leah, where it's like, hey, you're like, I figured it all out, and then number 2 comes along, and you're like, nothing works. I'm finally seeing a friend who gave birth in March. Would you recommend I get an outfit that she can wear now or in the future? I know nothing about babies. And Aki responded, I would prefer an outfit for later since not all babies are standard size. So something bigger would probably be used more. Yes. And that is also true. My other recommendation, my like favorite gifts that we've gotten that are clothes. I know it's fun to buy like the cute outfits, but it's also fun for the parents to buy those. The people who've gifted us pajamas, especially those bigger sizes, Allison, like I just went into a box of like 6 to 9 month pajamas, and we had like way less than any other pajamas we've ever had. But there were 2 in there that were gifts. And I was like, that was a really thoughtful gift because I knew that by 6 to 9 months, guess what? You're still going to need pajamas. Even if your baby doesn't fit, their baby doesn't fit into it in 6 to 9 months, right? It could be earlier, could be later. It's going to line up with the seasons, because that's the other issue is I'm assuming you're seeing this friend where you live in New York and baby clothes have to line up with seasons. We have all of these summer clothes for Lila that are 6 to 12 months. And we were literally just trying some of them on her this morning. Some of them already fit. She's 8 months today. And some of them are still way too big. And the ones that fit today, when it's peak summer in Chicago, it's not going to fit her. But right now they fit. And we're lucky that we have this warm weather right now. Anyway, all that to say is my recommendations would be later and pajamas, like cute pajamas. And yes, the mental math on clothes is complicated with babies. And then you have, again, like he said, you have children that are different sizes when they're born. My brother was 10 pounds. He couldn't fit into anything newborn. Anything my mom owned that said newborn, nothing fit. right? And then luckily we lived in Texas at the time, so the seasons didn't matter so much for him. But his seasons would have been all off. And then even Lila coming 3 weeks early, some of her stuff was off. Like we had some stuff that like the winter stuff, she grew out of before it kind of got warm enough, if that makes sense. Like it was kind of off a little bit. So anyway, always here to answer questions about recommendations for gifts, but that is definitely my recommendation is pajamas, cute pajamas for a bigger size. I also love to get blankets because you use them longer and you need several. It's funny you say that, Aki, because when we got a bunch of blankets before she was born, I was like, what on earth are we going to do with all these blankets? Like, I don't know how I'm going to go through so many blankets, but you do. You totally use them. So I am thankful for all the blankets. And I'm thankful that we have blankets of different thicknesses. So I like based on the weather, like I could pick whether I wanted a thin blanket or a thick blanket, different sizes. Like, is it a blanket for the stroller and it's smaller? Or is it a blanket that we lay out and she lays on and it's bigger? Like different blankets help too. So that is definitely something I did not expect to want to use until I got them in my possession, until I had a baby, I guess. The mom is actually telling me she doesn't need anything. Oh, because she has an older daughter. So that's part of it too. So I may just buy her some pampering items. That's a fun idea. Another, yeah, I mean, if she has an older daughter, she probably has anything that I would like recommend. But see, the thing about pajamas is I do feel like some of them she's worn out. And I'm like, there's no way I could save that for a future child. What else has she like worn out that I feel like you could gift that would be good? But also I love the idea of getting something for the mom. Like she doesn't need anything for the baby. Get it for the mom. Even like a gift card to like a coffee place that she loves. That's a good idea. It's tough. It's tough. So when we were in Houston last week, my mother-in-law threw like a little mini party for her friends to come over and meet Lila. And some of them had gotten us gifts, like some of her best friends had gotten us gifts when Lila was born. And my mother-in-law put on the invite, please no gifts. Like I didn't leave a lot of space in our suitcases for gifts. But of course, people like can't show up empty-handed. And so we got a lot of things. And some of them were like 2T and 3T dresses. And I was like, that's fine. Like, she's good probably until then. So like I was here for those kinds of things. Yeah. I was going to say a book, a key too, but that's, I figured since she had an older kid, she may have them. She may have books. But I was going to suggest that too. I think we got like 6 books also from this thing, but I'm here for all the books because I get bored of them, y'all. Like I get so bored of the books. And so I'm here for people replenishing our book stash. And books last a long time age-wise, right? Like right now I'm reading it to her. And then eventually like she will start to like learn to read it and then she will read it. But like that's years down the line. So books last a very long time. So that's also a really great gift. My suggestion to Allison is one of my go-to gifts is the Goodnight City series. So like getting her the Goodnight New York book. We've gifted the Goodnight Chicago. We've gifted the Goodnight Texas. Those are some of my favorite books to give because they're specific to the cities. And so people don't typically get them. Whereas I will say, so we got like I said, like 6 books at this thing last weekend. And I think 2 of them were books that we already had. One, we got a 3rd copy. So just the recommendation to not get the mainstream books. Like I'm not going to list what we got duplicates. And the funny part is the one that we got every time we've gotten a duplicate, I just send it to my mom's house. But then when we got the 3rd, we got a 3rd of a book at this thing. And I was like, Sam, what do we do with this book? Like, what do we do with them? Do you have an imagination library in your zip code? They'll send Lila a free book every month until she turns 5. I have no idea, but I'm going to write it down to look into. Imagination library. I mean, I feel like Chicago should have this thing. Yeah, my best friend always gave us clothes for a year ahead, and I loved it. Kids get bigger and you get fewer clothes. It's so true. It's absolutely so true. Yeah, and as much fun as toys are, guys, we have so many toys. We do not need any more toys. No more toys. I know I'm already thinking about her birthday and trying to get real specific with gift ideas because I just can't. Like, we do not need any more 1 to 2 year old clothes, and we don't need many more toys. I love the Gruffalo books. I've never heard of these, Aki. We have a lot of books. I'm trying to think what some of my favorites are. The Dolly Parton Imagination Library. Okay, I'm going to look into that. Huh. Cool. Okay, this was a fun little side topic about baby gifts. Let me quickly, I see a question, but let me quickly pop up the question. Like, we're transitioning into the Q&A time. This is your time. You can ask anything. It can be about your individual goals, a specific topic, whatever is on your mind. And I know that we already have one that popped up. Where'd it go? Okay. I don't want to mispronounce your name, so I would love for you to share in the comments how you pronounce your name, as somebody who frequently gets their name mispronounced. But the question is, I struggle a lot with goal guilt. My goal is to do intentional movement for 20 minutes a day. I only did 10 today and feel guilty. It is too close to bedtime for me to do more without affecting sleep. I am assuming that you are in somewhere in Europe if you are saying that you are close to bedtime. So my first question before we jump into the guilt part of this is, your 20 minutes of intentional movement, is that number that you picked, is that realistic for your everyday self? Or is that the superhero version of you? Because I've talked before about the energy spectrum and how every day we have a different amount of energy. Literally every day we have a different amount of energy based on where our hormones are at or not at, or what we ate the day before, how much we slept, how much, all the things. Like, there's so many factors. And the struggle becomes is we pick habits based on the superhero high end of the energy spectrum. But then most days we're somewhere in the middle. And so on some days we can push ourselves to do that higher amount. But then on some days when we're in the middle, we actually tend to push ourselves towards the 0. So first off, no, I'm going to finish this thought first and then we'll get to that. So my first question to you is that 20 minutes based on superhero high energy you, or is it based more on average middle of the road you? And so just check in with yourself on that, because if it is based more on superhero you, I would set a lower goal. And on days that you can do more. And on days that you can't, you don't. And you do that middle of the road. That said, the fact that you didn't go all the way to 0, take out that only in front of that 10. You did 10. That's awesome. You did 10 minutes. That's more than 0. That is a lot more than 0. So being proud of what you did do and celebrating that is incredibly important. And I know that it's not as tangible of a suggestion, but just that mindset shift of like, no, I did 10 minutes today. And that is more than 0. And I deserve to be proud of that. The last thing I will suggest for you, if this is something that you really struggle with and you want to work towards something different, is to consider a weekly goal. So instead of saying 20 minutes every day, you say, I'm going to do 10 minutes every day. And then weekly, I don't know if you're trying to do this every day, Monday through Friday, or if you're trying to do 7 days a week, but let's say you're trying to do every day, Monday through Friday. So weekly or daily, you're shooting for 10, but then weekly, let's say you're shooting for 60 minutes. That way on the one day that you feel like you can push yourself to 20, you do, and there's your 60. Or 2 days, you push yourself to 15 and then you hit your 60, something like that. By setting that weekly goal, you can allow yourself to flow with your energy levels based on the day. I did a whole video on energy that you can go back and reference. But some of it, like deciding to whether have a daily goal, a weekly goal, and what that goal is very based on how you react. And if you feel guilty, if you do less than what your goal is, then set your goal lower and set a weekly goal to encourage yourself to push on those days that you do have more energy. Those are my recommendations. Ultimately, you did 10, and that is worth celebrating. And I want you to see what you can do to focus on that, the positive, and be proud of yourself, and not what you didn't do, and focus on what you did too. I have one more thing I was going to say, and I lost it. It left my brain. I don't know. If it comes to me, I'll share. But I hope you're proud of yourself for doing 10. Okay, let me take this down. Oh, and go back to the comments. Allison, I always ask for the parents to tell me what they want because we're in small New York City apartments. I can't even fathom our old apartment and being there with a baby. Like, there's just no way. Duplicate books are great for a diaper bag or even to put away for the future when the original is showing wear and tear. Amber, that's a great suggestion. Oh, well. I left it at my mother-in-law's because I was like, I'm not bringing this book home. We don't need a third one. But you're right. Especially probably once you get on to multiple kids, the books start to show it a little bit more. What else? What else is on your mind? What other questions do you have? It can be about gift ideas. It can be about your goals. It can be about my goals. It could be about, I don't know. Whatever you feel like you need some support with. That's a good reminder, Ellison. I just know that guilt regarding goals is never helpful. Yep. Absolutely. Most of the time, it's that quote. I'm trying to think of what it is. It's that quote that's like, you're never going to beat yourself up into being a better version of you. Like, you can't negatively turn yourself into something awesome, right? Like, we've got to, I know, I don't mean this to sound like, oh my gosh, we have to focus on the positive all the time, because that's not realistic. Oh, that's what I was going to say. Doing something every single day is not realistic. It's not, except for like breathing and sleeping and drinking some water. You are going to have days that you don't do things. There are going to be days that we miss things. And so the fact that you did 10 instead of 20 is better than 0. We are going to have days that we don't do stuff. And that is just part of life and goals. I just saw a reminder. I mean, I've said this quote before, but I saw it on my Instagram as I was trolling this morning. It said, perfection and consistency cannot coexist. They cannot. If you're going to be consistent, you are going to be imperfect, period, the end. So I already have days that I missed on my May goals. Where is it? I know I didn't pop up a picture of it, but here's my May goal. Like, I already missed a day over here. It's okay. We're going to miss days. Oh, I'm glad that helped you. I'm assuming you mean that you can't do something every day. I'm glad I remembered what I was going to say. That is great, though, because now Lila will have that book when y'all visit. Yeah, Amber, that was my thought, too, is, again, like I said before, books span years. Like, our plan is to go visit our in-laws, my husband's parents. Not that we will only see them at Passover, but our plan is to go there for Passover every year. And at least until the kids are in school, since Passover is always, on like a random day of the week. But like, books will last years. Whereas there were some toys that Sam was like, well, should we leave this toy here? And I was like, well, I don't know if she's going to be interested in that toy in a year. Like, I she's interested in it now. So like in a year from now, that may not, like, we might want to take the toy with us. Whereas like the books, we can much more easily leave. So that's what we did. Ooh, I finally stopped watching those toxic productivity YouTubers. They are not me and I am not them. This also reminds me of a reminder I feel like I give y'all all the time, and myself included. I talked about this on the live 2 weeks ago about my own struggles, is we can't compare ourselves to other people, like other people's energy levels and lives, and talking about help and support, right? Did I give this example in that video? I don't know. There's a baby sleep person that I watch on Instagram, that I follow on Instagram, who does a lot. And she's got 3 kids. And there have been times that I'm like, how does she do so much? Like, how does she do all of those things? And after months of following her, she revealed that her husband is a stay-at-home dad. Awesome. I love that for her family. But like, boom, there's the answer. There is why she could do everything that she does and have 3 kids. And that was like eye-opening for me, that like these people on the internet, and myself included, I try to be as transparent as possible, telling you about the help and support that we have. I feel like I really do try to share all of the support. But you also, like, you have no idea what other people have going on. You don't know physically if they're struggling with something and they need, energy, their energy levels are low, or you don't know if their spouse has something going on that they have to support them with. There's just so much behind the scenes of even the people that share their entire lives that you don't know. And it's so hard sometimes to not compare yourself. But then you have to remind yourself you don't know everything. Yes, comparison is the thief of joy. I have to mute or unfollow some influencers or people because it isn't healthy for my mental state. Totally. And I feel like I've said this, and I mean, I can't speak for all these people that you're muting or unfollowing, Amber, but I would rather you, if I am that person for you, and if you're here live, I'm probably not, but if I am ever that person for you, or like if you're struggling with infertility and watching me talk about my baby is hurting, or watching you talk about like you want to quit your job, and so watching me work for myself is struggle. Like if you, like if that is struggling for you, like please mute, unfollow. Your mental health is more important than anything else. Like do what you need to do. It's just so, it can be hard, and you feel, if you feel any ting of guilt when you do that, like you are more important than any of them. It's kind of like Notion tutorials. I was trying to use it and I was like, I'm not a content creator. I have other systems for this. I don't need to try to be them. Absolutely. I feel that way about all those systems. I've never been a project management tool person. Asana, Notion, Trello. Like there's a bazillion of them. And I feel like I've tried them all and I try to force them into working. And me, I'm a Google spreadsheet, printed to-do list kind of girl. And then there are influencers who morph the truth. I'm absolutely sure of that, Lisa. I am 100% sure people morph the truth about the kind of support that they have, or they feel guilty sharing it. I know I talk about her a lot, but Jessica Braun is a YouTuber that I love to follow and watch. And she just recently posted a vlog where she said, I was afraid to share this, but we have a cleaning service that's been coming 2 times a month. And she felt guilty about sharing that. But then at the same time, if she doesn't share it, then we're like, how does your house stay clean? Right? Like it is just this double-edged sword sometimes. And it's so hard. I know there are other influencers that purposely don't tell you things. But then there are ones like her that are like, she wants to share, but she feels like bad. It's just this hard balance, I feel like. Yes, it's always hard to remember. I always try to remember we get snippets of their day, even if it feels like they share everything. Yeah, I've tried to say that before, Amber. Like, even when I do like a day in my life, right? Edited down, it's like 30 minutes of a video. 30 minutes out of even, let's say, 16 hours of awake time, right? What percentage? I mean, I'm not going to do that math right now. It's a very small percent. Yeah. This is also a good suggestion. Good to adjust expectations, but on the too close to bedtime to do more, could you do 10 minutes of relaxing stretching? That's a great idea. Adjust it to have it work for you. Yeah, I love Jessica and her family too. I love watching their stuff. But it's hard. Like I have to remind myself too that even though I love watching her and I feel like I know her and her husband, like I don't I don't know everything that's going on. And I cannot compare my life to hers. It's not the same. It's not the same. Okay, we are almost out of time. So let's wrap it up. What is the one thing you are going to do this week to make progress on your goals? What is the one small step you're going to take to continue to make progress on your goals? Maybe it's finishing setting up May. It's May 1st that I'm recording this. Like you have so much time left this month. I know that I feel like it was almost a 50-50 split when I asked you if you were treating this week like May or April. And for me, most of it has been May. Like most of it's treating as May, except for work. I'm wrapping up April. And so my one thing is to do the May sticky notes for my Kanban board. I still have a lot to do this week. I'll show you the back. So these are the done ones. This is what I need to get to this week. And these are the ones I'm not going to get to. But I need to make all the sticky notes for May. I saw a key share. She had to leave early, but she shared. Where'd it go? I have to go, but my one thing will take place now. You're going to play soccer. Oh, that's so fun. Adjust my expectations and finish setup. Set your personal and work goals for May. Make progress on your certification. Breaking down a big task into smaller tasks. Started reading the book, Set Goals, Find Peace. So I want to make some more progress on that. I love it. I'm not sure if this is a question. I have some goals I love and spend more time doing, like reading versus scrapbooking. I scrapbooking or craft before reading. I don't know that I can successfully answer this question before our time is up, but I just want to remind you that there is no right or wrong. If you love to do one thing, do that thing. If you want to do the other one more and you're not prioritizing it, use the one you love as a reward for the other one. Go for 2 outdoor walks this week. Love it. I hope wherever all of you are, the weather has gotten, it feels like it's been a little bit lifted. I don't know about you, but the warm weather outside gives me life. And being able to go outside and not have to worry about bundling all of us up and all the things, like it just, it's so nice. It makes it so nice. All right. If you have anything else that you want to ask, you can always leave it in the comments and I can address it next week. Otherwise, I will see you then. If you wouldn't mind giving this video a thumbs up before you head out, I would greatly appreciate that. And if you're new here, please click that subscribe button. I upload new videos every week focused on helping you achieve your goals. Have a great rest of your day.